You are listening to Veggie Doctor Radio, and this is episode number 108. Hey, I'm your host, Dr. Yami. I'm a board-certified pediatrician, certified health and wellness coach, author, and speaker. I'm also a passionate promoter of the power of diet and lifestyle in preventing and reversing chronic disease and bringing joy and longevity into our lives. This podcast is focused on plant-based nutrition, habit formation, motivation, and mindset so that you can have the tools to live the best life possible. Are you ready to get started? Let's do this.
We're having broccoli.
So I think you just have to really educate, say what you're eating is not the best for yourself, for your life, for the planet. And they kind of start to get it slowly but surely, but they get it.
Well, hello, veggie lovers. I hope you are having a plantastic day. I am back again with another fabulous and heartwarming interview with Dr. Chantala Sonad. Dr. Sonnad is a family practice physician in upstate New York who spends her time talking to patients about health and wellness. So we have just a really fun conversation about her journey to becoming a plant-based vegan, her children, the pandemic. So there's a lot of different topics that we touch on that I know that you're really going to enjoy. But before I tell you more about Dr. Sonnad, let me remind you about some lovely goodies that I have for you. If you go to dryami.com/free, FREE, you will see lots of wonderful downloads. They're PDFs, what to eat for breakfast, so breakfast ideas, eating out guide, replacing dairy, replacing meat, zero waste swaps, and a shopping list. And we'll be continuing to add lots of great resources to that list. You can download one, you can download them all. They're beautiful PDFs, and they're there to help make this lifestyle easier for you. So I hope that you enjoy them and tell your friends and family members about them as well if they would also like to get copies for themselves. In addition, if you would just like to sign up for my newsletter, you can text the word fiber, FIBER, to 66866. And if you haven't already picked up a copy of my book, A Parent's Guide to Intuitive Eating, How to Raise Kids Who Love to Eat Healthy, I would really appreciate it if you do. I have continued to get great feedback from around the world about my book, and it just warms my heart that it's helping so many people. So thank you so much. If you have purchased my book, and especially if you've purchased it through Amazon, if you could please leave me a review on Amazon, of course, an honest review of what you thought about it, I would really appreciate it, and it really helps my book and how it's ranked and helps other people find it and helps them consider whether they want to purchase it and read it themselves. So thank you so much for everybody who's already written a review for my book. I want to read a review from Amazon, a 5-star review by Elena Ojanen, who titles it, "Excellent resource to recommend to my patients." As a registered dietitian and certified diabetes educator, I'm excited to finally have a resource that I can confidently recommend to parents and my patients to read. It's easy to read and contains practical tips. And actually, that was by Inika Ojanen. So thank you so much, Inika. I really appreciate you taking the time to write a review, and I'm so glad that it is helping in what you do in your job. Just a reminder that the information on this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. It is not meant to replace careful evaluation and treatment. So if you have concerns about you or your child's eating, nutrition, or growth, please consult your healthcare professional. I have a really special series coming up in August next month. It's all about pediatrics. Lots of great experts, pediatricians, nutritionists, experts in the kitchen. So lots of fun stuff. Stay tuned. If you haven't already subscribed to my podcast, you're definitely going to want to subscribe because there's going to be lots of fun bonus episodes. So it's going to be the month of August is going to be exploding with lots of practical pediatric knowledge, lifestyle medicine for pediatrics, and lots of goodies. So please subscribe to the podcast so you do not miss out. All right. So Dr. Chantala Sonad is a board certified family medicine practitioner in New York. She was born and raised a vegetarian and has now been vegan for several years. It is her goal as a physician to reach as many people as possible to spread the knowledge and importance of the vegan lifestyle. She is currently chair of the Physician Board of Directors for a large medical group and is an active member of the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. As the mother of 2 young vegan children, she enjoys creating and cooking new recipes daily and shares these as well as health information on her Instagram page at Plant Some Love. And it's mouthwatering, people. Definitely want to follow her at Plant Some Love because she and her sister and her mom cook amazing vegan food. It makes you want to go through the screen and just eat it. So I really hope that you enjoy this conversation and get a lot out of it. I think you're going to fall in love with Dr. Sonad and all the stuff that she's doing in her practice with her children and her family. And without further ado, let us listen to this beautiful conversation.
When you grill it, we gon' sing.
Dr. Shanti Sonad, thank you so much for joining me on Veggie Doctor Radio.
Yes. Oh my goodness, Dr. Yami, I'm so happy to be here. I'm really honored for the opportunity. I'm really excited.
Awesome. Well, we're going to have a great time. Well, let's get started. Tell me about your plant-based journey. I'm really curious to know.
Yeah, actually, I am a lifelong vegetarian. I've actually never had meat. My father's South Indian and my mom is German Irish, so kind of a mix. But we were kind of grown up in a vegetarian household, and we always thought about becoming vegan, but it never, really happened. But I remember exactly when it did. I was breastfeeding, actually, my youngest child, and of course, I'm sure a lot of you listeners have seen What the Health, the documentary on Netflix. And I don't, it's the emotional moment, you're a new mom, and it was just like an image of, the baby cow being ripped from the mom. And I remember I just kind of lost it. And I was like, if someone took my milk from me, it was a lot. And so I just said, that's it. That's it. We're changing. We're done. And the next day, my whole family became vegan.
Wow.
I know. So I should call What the Hell and be like, thank you for that terrible image, because it just kind of, I think a lot of us have a disconnect of where our food comes from. And I feel guilty of having that, even being vegetarian. And the light came on, and I think, that was 4 or 5 years ago, and I'm not going back for sure.
Yeah. And probably your experience of being a new mom
Yeah.
at the time. Oh no, that was your youngest. So you already had one.
Yes, I had my second one, but again, I thought about it, with when my son was young, and I'm not sure why we didn't, it's just because I remember deciding, am I going to give my baby cow milk? What am I going to do? And then everything just hit me right then. So yeah, the emotions of being a new mom and like, what can I do the best for my baby? And cow milk was obviously not the right answer. And yeah, I feel much better. So does our family. So.
Wow. And so growing up, was the vegetarianism, was it talked about in an ethical way in your family, or was it just like taken for granted that this is what we're going to do? Or how did you feel about it when you were a kid?
Yeah, it's actually a great question. So yeah, I do practice Hinduism. I do believe in Hinduism. So that's kind of how we're grown up. So we believe that all life is created equal. I have a tattoo, ahimsa, which means do no harm to any animal. So it was that really balanced. For me, vegetarianism and veganism isn't a diet. It's really an ethical lifestyle. I don't wear wool. I don't wear silk. I have to make my car especially with vegan leather because a lot of companies won't do that. But no, it's definitely always been brought up in my life like that. But in India, as you know, there's lots of vegetarians, but it's a lot different in some places in India where when the baby cow feeds from, the mom in India, if there's anything left, then maybe on that little farm you will have some milk in your tea. It's different in that sense. So it's not obviously how it is here, and that's not like that in all places in India, but again, it's a different connection. So I've always had that, ethical sense ingrained in me, and now I just feel much better that I'm doing it wholeheartedly.
Awesome. Well, did you feel any different after you transitioned away from, so I'm imagining it's dairy and you're probably
Yes.
eating egg too, right?
Yes, I've never really eaten eggs. When I was 8, I was making eggs for little brother, and it was bloody, and then I had to have eggs instead. But yes, it was dairy and cheese, and it's silly things like, oh, I love cottage cheese. It has a lot of protein. But no, I mean, immediately I think it was the connection that I had with animals that I felt just much better. I would see a cow because, I mean, I live in upstate New York, right? There's cows everywhere, and you just see it, and it's like, oh, I don't steal your milk anymore. It wasn't just that, obviously I felt better, but at the same time I just felt a better connection with the animals. I did. It made a big
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I found you on Instagram. You
Yeah.
have an account with your sister, Plant Some Love. I love that
Mm-hmm.
name too. So
Oh,
tell me about that. How did you and your sister start an Instagram account together?
it's actually really great. And our mom is actually involved too. So I've never really understood when people say, oh, I don't get along with my sister. She's kind of like my lifeblood. We have been very, very close, even from the beginning. We're 3 years apart. So my mom said when she was born, I actually thought she was my baby. I would carry her around. So we've always tried to connect as much as we wanted to. So our mom, like I said, is very involved. She's an amazing cook, Yami. So I remember being little, there would be, 15, 20 ingredients. She would put something together and it would be awesome. It would be amazing. And we're like, Mom, what did you make? Can we have it again? And she's like, no, I have no idea what I did. So she has this gift and this curse of not writing anything down. And so we actually all became vegan together, my mom, my sister, and myself. And when we started to, cook more, it's like, wait a minute, we need somewhere to write these recipes down, not just for us, but maybe we can kind of spread along. So Instagram was a great platform for that, to kind of share our recipes. And my sister, I'm more of the cook, and my sister's the baker. She's always been an amazing baker. And I think it was more exciting to cook when it was vegan, not vegetarian, because it's almost like it's like a challenge, right? How am I going to replace these eggs? How am I going to replace this dairy? And my sister's just thriving on these beautiful 2-3 layer cakes. When you see those, that is her. That is not me. And then my mom makes amazing sourdough bread. She names her starters Frankie. It's just
Oh my goodness.
it's really fun. I think with this crazy time now, us being apart, my mom's in Florida, so it just brings us together in a different way too, that we didn't have before. So yeah, it's really fun. We just kind of started it I think we started a year and a half ago, but that was posting once every 4 months or something. But now we kind of did it January, February, and we're having such a good time.
So fun. And yes, those
Yeah.
recipes, those pictures just look so amazing and mouth-watering and
Oh,
delicious. It's you wish there could be a feature on Instagram where you could do a taste test or something,
Try it, please. Yes, thank you.
Well, you are a family medicine physician as profession, but you focus on health and wellness. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, I think that's really a great question. I think it's really important that patients kind of know what doctor they choose, right? I mean, for me, wellness is basically when the body is in sync, it will inevitably be in a state of good health. So for me, that means, mental health, physical health, psychological health. When that is all in tune, you're inevitably going to let your body use those intrinsic healing properties to heal themselves, right? So I think it's really important to give the power to the patient. They have to meet you halfway, to give them the autonomy, to give them the knowledge, say, hey, you can actually do this on your own. And I think what's tricky but great about being a wellness physician is I am perpetually 30 minutes late, right? Because in my front, I was like, oh, you're a little bit behind. But I think one thing I learned in residency, in Flint, Michigan, I'll give a shout out. I drank, the water for 3 years.
No.
but, but my attending said, you know what, Chantala, when your patients come in a room, you have to listen to them. And that was hard for me. I think I learned a lot because I'm a chatter. I really like to talk. I got, a number 13 on all my report cards, like talks too much. So it was hard for me. My mom always told me that. But when you listen to the patient, I'm sure obviously you see this all the time. I have 10 problems, doc. What are we going to do? You know what? Actually, it's one or two that's probably causing the rest. If we get to the organic root of the problem, we can find out, hey, if you have your neck pain, if it's inflammation, let's talk about capsicum. Let's talk about Indian, right? Turmeric. I'm not just going to throw ibuprofen at it to help it fix. And patients kind of, maybe it takes them a little bit of time, but they're like, oh, okay, I have this ability to kind of heal myself. And when they have a doctor, because they trust their doctor, right? If they have a doctor telling you, hey, you can do this, you don't need all these meds, it's kind of amazing what the power they have when you tell them that.
Wow. How long have you been practicing?
I've practicing, so I finished in 2013, so 11 years.
Actually. And how long have you been focusing on the wellness aspect, or is that something that's evolved over time?
Yeah, it actually has evolved. I started out actually in urgent care. I was the medical director of 2 different urgent cares, and I stayed in urgent care because patient access is very important to me. As you know, the problem we have with medicine today, it's very hard. It's demand and RVUs and, go faster. So because I always loved family medicine, but in urgent care, I could talk to so many people. And I found out that I'm telling every single one, no matter what they have, oh, doc, this mole looks weird. I was like, yeah, it does, but how much meat do you eat? Like, I could kind of feel it like evolving like that. And then I just knew I had to kind of come back to my roots. Mm-hmm. So then I switched back to family medicine a couple of years ago. And really ever since then, ever since I had, the awakening of the vegan lifestyle, every patient I talk to, no matter what it is, we talk about health and wellness, and it's made an amazing difference in my patient's life for sure.
I love it. Well, that's how I feel like I practice too. Like I'm a primary
I wanted to ask you,
nutrition, but I have a lifestyle medicine emphasis,
Okay.
So basically all my families know when they come in there, I'm going to be asking them about nutrition and physical movement and sleep and all of this because both of us, we know that really that's the foundation of well-being. And that's especially for me being a pediatrician, seeing the little one.
Right. You got to start early.
Help them live a long, healthy life. I'm not just trying to help, cure the ear infection or whatever. I mean, the ear infection, whatever, that's going to come and go. It's really about having a life that you feel good in. That's what I really want to help my patients achieve. So,
it's so true. I saw your post about beans and I was loving it. And it's like, hey guys, but I'm going to ask you, how many beans are you eating? It was really cute. And it's just great because I hear you said you're private, right? So that's just amazing. Like you know your patients so well. You have such a good relationship. And obviously they're all choosing you because they know that you don't care about just your infection. It's about how, like you said, to live a long, healthy life. Yeah.
Yes. And I feel like that's how our society is evolving, especially for this new generation. Like, we've gone through these different shifts where we've had different generations that, maybe take their health for granted a little bit. But now this new generation, they care and they want to, they want to learn about the green smoothies and they want to learn about the exercise and the sauna and all this other stuff, so it's super cool. Well, what would you say that you're most passionate about when it comes to lifestyle medicine? What area do you really feel like really passionate about?
Yeah, it's actually funny. I think you just mentioned it. A lot of times I like to go down to simplicity, right? Like, what do I want for myself and inevitably what I want for my patients? And I think, being a family doctor and obviously as a pediatrician, my family is, my core unit. And then my other family is my patient. So what I want for myself is really to spend as much time as I can with the people I love, right? And I think the way to achieve that is exactly what you just said, is longevity. So I always mention that to my patients. I say, listen, with a healthy lifestyle, it's inevitable that you're going to live longer. I mean, I can, show people hundreds of articles. If you are vegetarian and especially vegan, you actually live 7 years longer. That is a proven fact. So if you want to be with your family for a long time, listen to me, do these, changes, plant-based, focus on everything being in tune at the same time. And it's kind of inevitable that you're going to live longer. So I really try and at the end of every visit, you always have kind of a wrap up and say, like, what did you guys get from this visit? It's like, Doc, I think I'll live longer with the people that I love if I do this. So, I mean, obviously there's some tricky ones, but that's really my goal. I have a lot of patients that are over 100, and I'm going to try and, that's my goal, right? To have those centurions be my patients. So
I love that. Well,
mhm,
I think it's important to point out though, not just living longer, but living
mhm.
longer better.
Better.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Because, I've always been like, yeah, I want to live to 100. And I started encountering people that are like, yeah, no way. And I asked them, well, why
Mhm,
not? And it's people a little older, maybe in their 50s and
mhm.
60s, that will say to me, I hurt everywhere. My hips hurt. I need two
Yeah.
knee replacements. I have like
Mhm.
this indigestion all the time. There's no way I want to live 40 more years. And then I'm like, well, of course, that makes sense. If you feel like crap, you're not going to want to live long. So I think we have to really help people understand that
Right.
we can be empowered to feel better so that even if we don't live 100 years, the years that we do live on this
Mhm.
life are quality years, you know?
Yes, that is it's so well said. And I think it's really sad in a way that, I mean, if you remember your training, how many hours of nutrition did we have, right? What, one? I think I had more nutrition about how many teeth there were in the mouth than nutrition, right? So I think because I have a lot of new patients continually, and it's like, Doc, no one has ever said anything about what I should eat. And it's really kind of sad. So those patients that you're talking about that have this crazy hip pain, that have, these back pain, nobody probably told them what it could be if they just, like you said, I love that word, was empowered to have a better life, right? 1 pound of extra weight on your body is proven to be 8 pounds on your bones, right?
Wow.
So if somebody has 5 extra pounds, that's 40 pounds on their knees. They're going to need a knee replacement. So, I mean, there's just so much education, I think. That's one of the really problems, I think, with a lot of, physicians and, medicine we have today, is there's just not enough time to educate patients effectively so they have, the power to heal themselves.
Absolutely. Well, I love what you're doing. So thank you for that. And
Yes,
whenever
absolutely.
we started talking, you
Uh-huh.
told me that you have lots of examples of how diet can really affect the health of a patient. So I'd love to hear
Hmm.
some of your favorite stories and transformation stories, so that we can inspire some of the listeners.
Oh, yes, yes. Gosh, there's a lot. So I have definitely this one that comes to mind. He's just delightful. He was a new patient to me, and he's like, Doc, I'm not feeling great. He hadn't seen a doctor, I think, in 20 years. He was overweight. He was, urinating a lot. So obviously we're thinking about diabetes and stuff. So long story short, his A1C was 13.6, which is a dangerous level. So listeners, 6.5 and above is diabetes. So this is very high. This is a dangerous level. But I fundamentally hate insulin. I really do. I try not to put any of my patients on insulin. So, and he, you have to decide in a good way. But anyway, I said, listen, this is what we're going to do. I'm pretty chill, easygoing doctor when it comes to like health and wellness. I'm like, listen, you got to do this, or you're going to be poking yourself 3 times a day. Like, that's it. So we kept very, very close contact. I put him on, a good oral combination medication. I said, you have to be essentially vegan. That's it. And this guy is meat and potatoes with a cowboy hat. He's very, very cute. He's like, Doc, there's no way. And so we talked about it. I gave him examples of how to make food, how to make, soy sausage crumbles, like all these things. And I said, you have to exercise and lift weights too. So again, for listeners, weightlifting is one of the best ways to decrease your A1C naturally, because the
Mm.
more muscle tone you have, the more room you have to store that sugar. So that's one of the best ways. A lot of people don't know that. So weightlifting is very important. So he started lifting weights. He didn't have weights, so he used like his big chickpea cans. And in 6 months, he has lost 42 pounds, and his A1C is 6.5. So like 6.5, really. Like, I had my partner, an endocrinologist, was like, what, are you kidding me? You didn't put this guy on insulin? What's happening? It's just, and now he actually, so we have what's called a patient-centered medical home. So he is now an influencer to a lot of my other patients. Say, hey guys, listen, he comes to our meetings and he talks to my patients, say, this is what I did, and I was really hesitant, and look at me now. Like, he is amazing. He's like a vision of picture of health, and he's 69 years old. So it's
Whoa,
really,
he's
yeah,
almost 72. I don't know. I was imagining it
almost
again. guy.
Yes, he's almost 70. It's really funny. He like brought me samples. This is pre-COVID, but he brought me samples of food, like a veggie chili that he made. It's just like, and it's created this relationship that he really feels, which is true, that I care about him. I want him to live a good life. I don't want him to be poking himself with insulin, right? And when you meet each other halfway and you talk and you keep that constant conversation, it's just, I mean, like really, like I think he was crying the first time. It was really emotional. It was really, really exciting. So he is one of my prime examples for sure.
What a beautiful story. So when he
Yeah.
first came in, was he surprised about his diagnosis, or did he kind of feel in the back of his mind that there was something?
He said, I knew there was something wrong, doc. I didn't know if it was my pressure or sugar or my bones, but I knew something wasn't right. And he just knew it. And it's, I think it's really important to be not an alarmist with your patients, to really be like, hey, I think knowledge is power, right? So let me give you the power and the knowledge to understand what's going on with your body, but how we can reverse it in these ways, instead of saying, okay, I'm going to give you something, give you this. Like, it takes a lot longer, right? I mean, as you know, to focus on lifestyle, but look at the results. I mean, I have actually a handful of patients that have canceled their bariatric surgery. I don't think my surgeon partners are happy about that, because I work for a big group. But yeah, they're like, doc, I want you to do my clearance for my bariatric surgery. And I'm like, let's just talk about it. And these are people that are kind of like, should I have it? Should I not? You take time, you counsel, and it's really amazing changes. I think the best is when you have your 3-month follow-up and their cholesterol is decreased 40 points, 50 points, their A1C is down. I mean, their weight, right? I mean, weight obviously comes off when you adapt, vegan diet. There's a lot of really concrete examples of why. So it's really exciting for a lot of my patients, for sure.
Wow, that's awesome. So,
Mhm.
I'm imagining this interaction you have with this
Mhm.
gentleman and coming from like two different cultures. I mean, older
Completely.
gentleman, cowboy hat, country guys, what I'm imagining here. So how did you talk to him about the food? Like, was he cooking himself? Like, how did you help somebody like this? Like, I guess I'm a pediatric, so it feels a little bit different.
Right,
But
it is.
I just kind of want to see how you're able to talk to people and bring it to where they are, like their culture and their
Mhm.
household, and make it work for them.
Yes, exactly. I think, and the most important thing is to ask. I say, tell me about your home. Tell me about your lifestyle. And he's like, well, Doc, I was divorced 20 years ago. I lived by myself and I eat frozen meals. And I was like, okay, this is going to be tricky. I said, excuse me, hold on. I went old school. It's like, I'm gonna get a pad of paper. Okay. And I wrote down kind of like a picture of how the body, in a simple diagram, like when you eat sugar and fat and frozen food, where it goes in your body and what happens. And like just simply he goes, oh, okay. And he goes, so what do I do? And the animal products was really a tricky one for him. He's like, Doc, what are you talking about? I eat meat and potatoes. That's what my mom told me to do. I have to do it. And I said, because we've done something for a long time doesn't necessarily mean we should keep doing it. He's like, but no doc ever told, like it was tricky in the beginning, right? It took maybe, 45 minutes, we talked for an hour. He said, but no one's told me this. And I said, well, we met each other for a reason. I believe people come to each other for some reason. I said, this is why you came here today. You're going to change your life today. Your lifestyle is changing. So I wrote down a grocery list for him. I told him where to buy the groceries, and I told him when certain ones are on sale, because that was an issue too. And I said, I have a care manager, so I'm very lucky in my office. I have a diabetes coordinator who's very helpful too. So I said, we're going to keep in close touch with you. We talked to him every week and then every 2 weeks, and I saw him every month. And every single time he was like, Doc, well, so I made, and he would call me too. He's like, Doc, I don't understand what spice to put in, what to put in this chili. Is this me? Like he wasn't sure if something was based on me. And it was a long haul. I mean, really, we just had a lot of close communication, but when they see that relationship that you are totally invested in their health and lifestyle, they meet you there and they're really excited about it. So I'm really proud. He's an amazing guy.
Yeah. Well, I'm just feeling so grateful because I
Mm-hmm.
know that the majority of physicians wouldn't have even tried to go there to begin with, because they're just
I
thinking in
know.
their mind, Yeah, it's
It's
not going to
it's
happen. It's
yeah,
impossible. I'm not even going to try because I'm going to waste my time and he's going to get
yeah.
frustrated. I'm not even going to try. But you put the effort in there. You walked him
Mm.
through it, started with the basics, went to his level, and now he's cooking chili on his own after making frozen meals.
Yes.
And that's beautiful. That reminds me, I'm also a
Mhm.
health and wellness coach and I
Oh, great.
coach,
Yes.
coach women. And, I have some women that have never ever worked with tofu, but then they start getting curious and they're like, I
Oh,
don't know about this. And what's so cool is like when somebody's like super afraid of tofu, because tofu is one of those
which is
scary
everyone.
things,
Yep.
it's
Yep.
like one of those scary
Mhm.
things. Like, what do you do with this? And they start, and then they're just like become a tofu expert. And you're like, you remember when you
Yeah.
used to not even like know what tofu was,
I
like,
think it has like a tofu shirt now, right?
yeah. And you make this evolution. And it also reminded me, I
Oh, that's
do a
so cool.
men's class
Oh, do
and
you
it's
really?
it's really, really fun, and we talk about, like, prostate cancer and erectile dysfunction,
That's
all this
super
stuff,
fun.
and I had this one class, it was packed, okay? There were all these men from, like, 20s to almost 70s, okay? And I was talking to them about milk and how milk increases the risk of prostate cancer and all this stuff, and
Yes.
really they should not be drinking milk, and it got really quiet, and an older gentleman, very classy looking man,
Yes.
full head of white hair, raised his hand. He's like, well, doc, if I'm not supposed to drink milk, then what should I drink with my meals? He was drinking milk with every single one of his meals.
Old
It
school.
was like, he was like, well, what am I supposed to drink?
That's
And
really
one of the
cute.
younger guys in the audience was like in his 20s. He's like, water. It was so funny. But yeah, he was like that. It was like, doc, what? Well, if I don't eat this, what do I eat? So you just kind of
Right.
have to really help people navigate because that's what their whole existence, that's what their life has been. So they just need help
Yes.
thinking about something different.
Mhm. That's amazing. On top of all of these amazing podcasts, on top of your private practice, and you're doing health and wellness seminar. That's amazing.
Yeah,
Wow.
well, I'm not doing them as much anymore, but that's one of my
Yes.
favorite classes is the men's class. So I
Yes.
know I will do it again in the future.
That's very, very cool.
So,
Mhm.
and you're already talking about diet, but
Mhm.
in general, how do you see that diet has affected the health of your patients overall? We talk about
Mhm.
diabetes. What other effects are you seeing in your
Right.
patients?
Yeah. So, and I think really simply is, I mean, a lot of people want to lose weight, right? Like America is as unhealthy as they've ever been. So when people say, oh, hey, like if I go, how am I going to lose weight? So fundamentally, what do you eat in a vegan diet, right? Yummy. It's fruits and veggies, right? So what do those have? And I put this again in a simple way, you guys. This is fiber. Okay. This is tons and tons of fiber. What does fiber do? It decreases cholesterol, it decreases heart attacks, and it decreases incidence of cancer. And what it does, it fills you up. It literally turns off kind of the appetite gene to keep being hungry. So that's one of the main things that helps the weight loss. But the other thing that people always say, well, doc, I'm going to be eating so many carbs, so many carbs, so many carbs. And this is what is frustrating. I think it's really important to educate our patients about because, obviously there's the keto movement, right? Everybody's stuffing their face with bacon and it's like killing me to see. And their cholesterol goes through the roof, and it's not a sustainable lifestyle, right? But if you think about, a long time ago, like the physics and the numbers in carbohydrates, whether it's rice or pasta or whatever you're eating, there's actually only 4 grams, four calories per gram in a carbohydrate, whereas there's 9 in fat, right? So I'll say that again. So in carbohydrates, there's 4 calories per gram, and in the animal fats, dairy, cheese, there's 9 calories per gram. So even if you're eating a little bit more carbs, but why did the Asian population have literally the lowest incidence of cancer and are the thinnest? They eat rice and tofu every day, right? So I think I'm just gonna say it politically, there's a ploy by the dairy industry. There's a lot of misinformation out there. The number one supporter of the American Cardiac Association is the beef industry. What? Sorry, I'm sorry. Can I say that? Can I talk about that? It's upsetting. So I think we can tell these patients, yes, you can eat these good foods. And really, if you look at the numbers, it's gonna make a really big difference. And that weight loss really comes, like I said, from the fiber and because you're eating healthier and actually less calories overall.
Mhm. Yeah, I love it.
Yes.
Yeah, and that
Mhm.
fiber, my favorite
Yes.
F word
Yes.
for
Fiber and
sure.
beans. Beans is your thing for sure.
Where do you feel that you encounter the most resistance to change in your patients? Where are the obstacles there?
Yeah, so, I mean, I think for myself too, change is really hard, right? I mean, for anything. So I think, I can go back to that fundamental disconnect of where our food comes from. I have an example, I have a lot of patients that are actually bodybuilders, right? And it's like, doc, man, I just need a hamburger, just need a hamburger. And again, it's education. I was like, what I explained to them, I said, what is the biggest, strongest land animal you know? And he's like, is this a quiz? Like, what are you talking about? I was like, tell me. He's like, an elephant. Right. An elephant eats plants all day. So again, I try to simplify kind of everything for my patients when they're really resistant of I need animal protein, I need animal protein. Because when you eat a hamburger, you get a lot of the whatever good stuff you get because the cow is vegan, right?
Mhm.
You don't get it from all the meat of the cow. It's because the cow eats plants. So they're like, you're blowing my mind, doc. Like, what are you talking about? And I think that, like I said before, when you are taught to do something over and over and over and no one has told you different, I feel like I have a platform as a physician. I see 20, 30 patients a day, and I have to give them this education that they haven't seen before. No, they're resistant because they've never heard anything else. So
Yeah.
if you give them kind of simple examples, it can actually, make a big difference, I think. So I think when they're used to doing things one way and they don't realize, like, doc, why are eggs bad? Well, I mean, every baby boy chicken that is born, I don't think this is a real word, but they put it in the smusherator, whatever that is, right? Like, they don't know what that is, but they don't realize that. So I think you just have to really, really educate, say what you're eating is not the best for yourself, for your life, for the planet. And they kind of start to get it slowly but surely, but they get it.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
really think people think of meat as protein, but
Yes.
they do not realize that it's really most of the calories are from fat.
It's fat, exactly. And if you have,
And
yeah.
that's why they love it. Like, if it
Yeah.
were just like a pure protein patty, it wouldn't taste that
It
good. Like, we
wouldn't
really
taste.
enjoy is the fat. And so then they get into get into their heads like, I need protein. I'm craving a steak. What they're really craving is fat. They want fat. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, that is so true. Somebody told me the other day, Yami, that why pizza is so addictive is because it has the trifecta, right? It has fat and it has salt and it has sugar in the
Sugar.
sauce, right? That is the key. So that fat, it's the same thing. It's like sugar, right? You just eat it, you want more, you want more. So that's a really good point. And I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of just information out there of what fat does to us, right? I mean, we
Mhm.
are we are really dying because we're so fat. It's very, very sad. And I'm sure you as a pediatrician, right? I mean, I see kids, but not have as many obviously as you do. And you probably are seeing that juvenile diabetes and the scariness from overweight children, right?
In my former practice.
Probably not in your
But
practice
not in my
now.
current practice because
Right?
I tend to
You're
attract
right.
all the families that are already
Yep.
really interested in health and
That's who you
well-being,
attract.
which is
Hmm.
not what I anticipated was going to
I,
happen when I started my own practice. So it's super ironic. So it's like I do
that's
all,
actually
but it's
really
still,
fun.
it's fine because I know that either way these children are benefiting. We're continuing, we're supporting these healthy habits. I'm tweaking, I'm optimizing, but yeah,
Yeah.
there's a whole group of people in the United States that don't have the privilege of knowing this information
Yes.
or of being able to have access to fresh, healthy plant foods. And so that's
Yep.
definitely something that needs to be addressed in our country. And,
Hmm.
we need to do that because otherwise we are going to continue to see a burden
On it.
on our
Mhm.
healthcare system and on just health and well-being, the productivity of our country, the happiness of our citizens,
Yes.
of our people
Hmm.
in this country. So, yeah, it's a big deal. But this is a
Mhm.
perfect segue into
Yes,
talking about kids. So you
yes,
have
yes,
your own children. You have two children,
yes.
and
My
how
son
old
is
are they now?
yes, my son is 6. He just finished first grade yesterday. It was
Oh,
really emotional for me. It was a big thing. He's like, "Mom, I'm just a second grader. Like, just get over it, right?"
I love it.
And my daughter just turned 3. So
Oh,
yes, very, very sweet. So yeah, they're delightful. And I mean, I made the decision. My husband is really supportive. Obviously, this he is vegan as well. and he's an ER doctor, right? So he knows the benefit of it too. But when we made the decision, I mean, I think again, empathy is really important to my life and to teach my children. And it's like, why did I have children? I want to raise kids that are going to be loving, going to be kind, going to make a difference in this world, right? So I think this, like I said, it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle. It's crucial for not only for my children's health, but for really like for our planet, right? And I don't believe in lying to my kids. So when it happened, when I had that big moment, Yami, the next day I think we started with cashew milk. And I said, hey, we're gonna switch milks. And he was cute. He was little at the time. So in his little baby voice, he's like, this tastes different, Mom. And I said, yep, we're changing our milk. And he's like, why? And my husband was like, why are you telling the truth? And I said, we're stealing the milk from the baby cows. And he just looked at me like a deer in headlights. He's like, I don't want to take the milk from the baby cow. And I'm honest, and I'm honest from there. And they have really adapted it and love it. And I think because my mom really, I always cooked with her when I was little, and I was really a part of it. I really try and tell me, hey guys, it's time, to make tofu. My daughter knows the ingredients of like pea pesto, my favorite thing. So like she'll help me, she'll make it with me. Like, and when you involve them, they understand we're using this because it doesn't hurt. And what kid doesn't love animals, right? I mean, kids love animals. And what do we do? Like, I think, what is it? 200 million animals are killed a day for food, right? I think 200 million, something unbelievable. That's just land animals. That's not even, the aquatic animals. That's like trillions a year. So I think if they're reading these books about sea otters and about sharks, and I love it, how can I be such a hypocrite and have them eat like it doesn't make any sense. So for me, it's like an easy answer to make them really good, healthy kids. And they're tall and they're perfectly healthy and all that myth of how can your kids, be healthy enough? As you know, and I'm sure you tell all of your patients, there's no medical evidence that kids need, cow baby growth fluid. They don't need cow milk. So they're flourishing and doing great. So I'm just kind of mad at myself for not doing it earlier, but I'm glad we're here now.
Oh, no, that's so lovely. I just love that story so much. And it's hilarious because you started at the age, the 3-year-olds, they're the
Yes,
ones that ask why about everything. So it was like a
yes.
perfect time. Because of course he's going to be like,
Teenagers, right?
why?
Yes, we always call them three-nagers, and he just looked at me, and my husband's like poking me, like, I was like, what? Yeah, you're gonna tell him, but yeah, you are absolutely right. I say, why, Mom? Why? It's like a joke, right? Why? But why? But how? But then what? And it just like keeps going, right? So yeah, we still encounter it a lot, right? It's like, because they actually, it was a little bit longer for eggs. Because I never cooked eggs. That was one thing. Let's say if they're around other family or they're eating something like that's, I think what's kind of hard. But, and again, I just kind of said in a simple way, I said, well, we're, taking babies away from their moms essentially. And it was the same thing. He's like, okay, then we won't eat eggs anymore. I mean, kids are just so resilient and they want that knowledge. They want to understand. And I think to all the, the hatred and the sadness in the world we have right now, our kids are the chance. And that's amazing that, you're a pediatrician too, because I don't see as many kids, but they're just so ready to hear good news and they're so easily influenced in a good way. So I think we just have to kind of, focus on that and give them the tools to be really good people.
Yes, and they're so
Yeah.
optimistic. Do you
Yes.
have any like recommendations on any books or any movies or anything that you feel are appropriate for children to learn about veganism and about compassion to animals, those kinds of things?
Yes, actually, well, I was just reading your book. So I think
you.
that's a really, really great example. So obviously you guys should check out our book. It's very, very helpful. And then I actually read books to my kid. I'm trying to remember actually the name of it. I will have to get it. I'm not sure the exact name, but when it has it's a connection of it's this little boy that lives on a farm and then he doesn't understand kind of the connection. And then when he's like, wait a minute, I love these animals so much. How can I eat them? So even in any book that you really read, there's tons of children's books that just have a moral, and you can explain to them how that moral relates to how our lifestyle is. So there's so many books about like really wonderful animals and animal facts. And then you see, because my son is really obsessed, with National Geographic and Disney Plus. It's like saving everyone during coronavirus, right? It's Disney Plus originals. There's all these amazing, you really recommend people to check out Disney Plus originals have just amazing stories on elephants and on tigers and how they live and why they're endangered and what's happening. And even if your children are young, you can say it in a simple way. Like, we don't have this many tigers in the world because see how pretty their stripes are? Some people want that for themselves, and that's not fair. So I think you can do it in a different way. We always adopt animals and give gifts from the World Wildlife Federation too for all my kids. So you get the panda and then you save a panda a year. So we really try and focus on that. We have a Bronx Zoo close by, so you can really find different ways in your community to kind of find how you can incorporate an ethical lifestyle for your kids, and they really are on board with it, especially if there's like a cute train involved. You know what I mean? Visiting things, but yeah.
I love it. So what would you tell people who say that you're pushing an ideology on your children?
Yeah, so I would say that obviously is an opinion, but I can explain to them why that's actually not true, because I base my practice, my life on evidence, right? You have evidence and guidelines for a long time. And if what we are doing right now worked, then okay, I would say, okay, you don't have an argument. But if we have, 41 million starving children, or 40 million starving people in the US, 13 million of them are children, but 75% of our crops are raised for animals and pigs to feed them, what we're doing isn't right. It's not ideology. It's that what we're doing now is not working. There is no answer that anybody has to help everyone's health, to decrease cancer, to decrease pandemics, and to save the Amazon rainforest in the world besides a vegan lifestyle. It's the only answer. If somebody else had one, good, great. It's the only one though. So I would say educate yourself and learn that it's the right answer.
I love it. Perfect answer. Well, you mentioned the pandemic, and that was actually my next question. You wrote an article in Veg News. I think that's actually how we met, because I commented on it because somebody was hating on it. And so I commented on it.
I've never had a hater.
Yeah.
And my sister's like, oh, you made it because you have a hater. I was like, oh my God. What they're saying was so not true. And it was so hard for me to not be like, ah. But she's like, oh, you have a hater. She's an actress. Like, she knows less. She goes, oh, you've totally made it. And I was like, oh. That's how we met, because you were so supportive.
Yeah, no, it was a great article. And it's, one of those things that a lot of people probably still don't understand. So how is the pandemic, how the coronavirus 19, how is it related to what we eat?
Yes, exactly. And I was really honored. I don't know if you guys know, but Veg News is an amazing vegan publication. And I was really honored to write for them. So really, when this happened, I just felt like I was an English major. So they're like, you can't be a doctor and be an English major. I was like, oh, I will have no dangling modifiers in my notes. Like, I love Shakespeare. My sister, my mom are English majors. So I was really happy about it. But so basically, every pandemic we've ever had, whether it's SARS, HIV, MERS, Ebola, swine flu, bird flu, every single one can be evidentially based to wildlife consumption. Okay? And when people think, like, what do you mean? I mean, how AIDS started, HIV, right? You're killing chimpanzees and eating them for meat. We get it. Ebola, now this COVID, where people are ingesting bats, and then when a virus from animals transmits to humans, it gets very smart. It's something we don't have immunity for, right? So it optimizes itself, it mutates, and all these strains are very, very scary. So this is really a virus it's so scary, but I have an unbelievable respect for, because what did the flu shot take? Like 20, 30 years, right? To establish, and now we're trying to do it in a year. And it's just like, we knew this after every pandemic, but we kept eating animals. And it's just like, I have to say, please, God, like, can we learn something from this? Can we change? And I feel like we can go down into a sad rabbit hole of what's going on in the world, but I have to be positive, say, hopefully we can learn something. I mean, my little brother actually sent me an article in China that dogs are now officially labeled as domestic animals, not livestock. That's a small thing, but it's huge. You can't eat dogs anymore, right, in China. So I feel like we have all this information and we are the superior species. So why are we, treating loving animals like they're completely inferior? It doesn't make a lot of sense. So I just feel like I hope a lot of people will be educated, because this is a very, very scary thing, and we don't know the end point, don't know the end game. Which, I mean, for me, for you as vision too, it's like your patients say, "What are we going to do? When is school? When's it going to start? What am I going?" We don't know.
Mm-mm.
It's very, very scary. So I hope that people, just kind of understand and learn that we can't keep doing the same thing we're doing, because we're not going to be here for a lot longer.
And I think I understand what's going on because, I've been vegan and eaten a plant-based diet.
That was just gonna ask you.
9 years and like
amazing.
So
9 years and 2 weeks.
So my plantiversary is coming up, as everybody knows. But I remember, because I feel like I've always had that kind of hippie heart. Okay. Like I've always
my mom's
had it in
like
me.
that.
Yeah. My family in Panama, we have a large farm there, dairy still.
Really?
And I would walk by and I would look at the cows in their eyes. They have these big, brown, beautiful eyes. And I would wonder what they were feeling. And, they did get to roam. But then my brain is like, but there's no other choice.
Well, yes. Where
okay.
else
Because
do we go?
I believed that, because my whole family told me and everybody told me that we must have meat and dairy to be healthy. So really, this is the only thing we can do. So I think our job as physicians, just like you're doing, is to help empower people, educate them that, hey, guess what? There is another choice. Not only is it safe, it actually might create more benefits than the other diet you were eating.
Exactly.
And that blew my mind 9 years ago. As a physician, I was already a trained physician, and it blew my mind. Okay. So I know that there's people out there who's going to blow their mind when they hear like, oh, what? That's not going to make you like crumble and die of some kind of crazy deficiency. So I think that's what it is. It's like that thing of like, well, there's no other choice.
There's no other choice.
We're just going to have to keep doing it this way because we have to keep eating animals.
Yeah, there's no, and that's I can imagine how that is for you, right? Like you said, families having a dairy farm, like it's just, that's how people grow up. I was told to eat meat and potatoes, otherwise I'm not going to grow big and strong. And look at all the recommendations from a lot of medical societies, right? Make sure there's this much meat on your plate. Make sure there's this much dairy on your plate, when we know, I mean, there's links to so much cancer. It's just, and it's hard. And I really feel for patients, us as physicians, we're shocked, right? We have a disconnect. We didn't understand. And then patients, how can they navigate through all the misinformation out there? I think that's what's really, really hard. So I always, try and let my patients know, hey, like, what are your questions? Well, don't you understand? Because the world is very confusing. Because someone's telling you A, someone else is telling you B, and then somebody says, well, no A, and you're totally wrong. It's C. So yeah, but you're right. I think it's our chosen path for sure to educate and make a difference.
Yes, there is another way. I was doing some research for a presentation I'm doing at the PPOD conference, and a lot of Americans are starting to learn the term plant-based, but there's still a lot of people that have never heard of it at all. And some states in particular that are completely disinterested. They're like, no, don't even talk to us about letting go of our meat. But I'm in Washington State, and Oregon, which is right below us, is actually the top state for people being interested in plant-based diets. So close to home. Yay. So cool. But I think there, the more we talk about it, the more people are on social media, just like you and other people, talk about it, normalize it, show our healthy, thriving children that are not dying of some kind of deficiency. Then I think that other people will start to have the courage to be like, you know what? I think I can eat less meat. I think maybe I could get dairy out of my diet. That's the first step that a lot of people make. So
yes, definitely.
What do you wish more people knew?
More people knew, I think, exactly what we're saying. I keep going back to the disconnect, but really there is. So, because this disconnect, I want people to know you can make a difference, right? So, there's people's like, what if I recycle? Doesn't matter. Why should I? Don't be sorry, I'm voting, but why should I vote? It doesn't matter. Small changes can make a huge difference. So that's really what I want people to understand. If you don't have meat for one day, you're saving at least a cow or a lamb or chicken in one day. That's it. So I want them to understand, really, like I said, about there's 13 million starving people in the US. So if we decrease the demand for meat, right? If all these people eat meat less, just however less a little bit, then it's supply and demand. That's what this whole, obviously corporation is about. So if we decrease this demand, obviously it's going to make some changes. The world is really kind of backwards, how many people don't have enough food, and we're giving all the food to animals so we can eat them. Like, it just, if you think about it, it does not make any sense at all. So I tell my patients, listen, what you do in one day and one decision can make a huge difference, not only for your own health, but really for the world. And I think what's happening now with climate change and the rainforest and the fires, like, it's so terrible and awful, but all of us, every single person, has the fundamental ability to make a big change.
Yes, it doesn't
Mhm.
have to be all or nothing. Start where you
Yes.
are, start
Yes.
making changes towards there. Don't feel like you have to go overnight. I mean, some of us do, but you don't have to. So I think that that's a beautiful, beautiful message.
Yes, yes, thank
What
you.
personal habit are you most proud of? How did you develop it and how do you maintain it?
Oh, personal habit. I think I would have to say exercise. It is extremely important to my life. I remember when I first left for college, I'm kind of a homebody. I'm very close to my family. My God, so when I was a little bit of a chunkier monkey back then, maybe I had too much pasta. But there was a track, and I was like, I'm just gonna run. I'm just gonna see. And I don't know what happened. This is one of those things. Maybe I'm an overnight person. But I can say I have probably worked out 6, 7 times a week for the past 25 years. It's very important to me. It brings those happiness hormones, my dopamine, my oxytocin. And I think, as being a working mom, being want to be a loving wife and a great, employed, motivated leader and physician, I have to kind of have that balance. And a lot of people say, well, Doc, I don't have time to exercise. I kind of say, like, I don't have time not to exercise, because exercise gives me motivation. It gives me organization. It gives me happiness. I sleep better. I perform better. So I want to always practice what I preach, right? I mean, we have, unfortunately, some dietitians that are morbidly obese. Like, that doesn't make sense. We have to really look at ourselves. I don't want to tell people to run and work out when I don't do that. Like, if I don't, it wouldn't make sense. So I tell people, hey, listen, this is how you want to do progressive lifting. You're going to do arm day cardio, leg day, arm day. Like, this is how you can do this. If you don't have these ways, you can do this way. And I can teach them much better because I know. And I remember in med school, actually, I was a kickboxing instructor, so I made money that way. And then in Manhattan, it was such good days back in the day when I was training like Kings County and stuff. I was a dog runner in the city, and you'd get Yami $30 to run dogs, these huge dogs that live in these little apartments in Manhattan. So $30 a half hour to run dogs. Like, and so I mean, you'd end up running like 50 miles a week, and I got like runner's knee. But it's really like helped me through med school. It's always been kind of my saving grace. If I get home at after the kids go to bed, I get home at 6, 7, put the kids to bed, I do it, and I don't regret it. It makes me very happy. So
I completely agree with that one. I
yes.
feel like exercise is a necessity in my
Yes.
life.
Tell me about your
And
exercise.
I mean, I do it first thing in the morning.
Okay, you're a
And
morning.
I love because I don't drink coffee or anything. I don't do
Okay.
any caffeine, and I feel like that's what gives me energy, and it
Oh, it
just
does.
helps me feel happy. Like, it's my
Is that?
happiness drug,
It's actually like the same as
So
taking a Prozac. They've done a study.
yeah,
If you run for a half hour, yep, it's the same exact thing. See,
for
I
sure.
really
So,
miss the morning workouts. My daughter wakes up every day at 5:30, so I'm trying to
oh,
wake up earlier, but I'm like, it's too early. She's like,
oh
Mom, I
yeah,
miss
for
you. Good
sure.
morning.
You'll get back to it, but those kids grow fast. Believe me, mine are
That's
already
what
10 and
I
15.
was gonna
So,
ask you, really? 10 and 15? Oh my
yep,
goodness. That's
yep.
boys, girls?
2 boys.
Two
And
boys, boy,
yeah, some
mom.
days I hardly know that they're here because they'll be on their devices or reading their books or doing something. I'm like, make some
Yeah.
noise. Back from the days of like, stop making so much noise. Make some noise.
Right? It's so true.
Oh man. Well, this has gone by so quickly. Tell
My
us
gosh, I
how
know.
listeners can connect with you, and are they able, if anybody's in your area, New York, can they sign up to see you? How can we connect with you?
I am on Instagram, obviously, at Plant Some Love. So I really try to connect with you. I love the vegan community. I met you, which is so amazing. They're just so wonderful and supportive. And I think, offering those services, having fun meals. I mean, I had a patient that lost his sense of taste from COVID. Yami, and I was like, make my spicy green tofu. The recipe is there. And he called me. He's like, Doc, oh my gosh, it really made me feel better. It was
Yay.
like, yay, something simple like that. But yes, I am, I just really hope to continue to engage and meet more people and just kind of spread the word and educate people as best I can.
I love it. Well, can you
Yes.
leave my listeners with a call to action for the week? What one thing can they do to improve their lives this week?
To improve their lives. Okay, call to action. I like this. So remember, I guess I said, billions of animals are killed every day for food, right? So this is a week. Don't try meatless Monday. Try it for a week, guys. Try to go plant-based for 1 week. Tell me what happens. Yami in medicine, we can never say anything that's 100%. I will tell you 99.9%, you're going to feel better. You're going to make a difference. You're going to save animals. You're going to have more energy. Your skin's going to be better. And honestly, if it doesn't happen, you can yell at me and let me know, but I don't think I'll get any messages on Instagram because you're going to feel a lot better. So I challenge you all to a week meat-free.
Awesome. I love it. That is a good challenge. Hopefully you up on that. Well, this has been fantastic, Dr. Sonad. Thank you so much for your time and for everything that you're doing and for inspiring and empowering your patients. You are making a difference in the lives of so many. So thank you.
Oh, Doctor, I can't even tell you. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I am just so enamored with everything you are doing. You're also a huge inspiration as well. So I really thank you, and hopefully we can talk again soon.
Absolutely. And I hope that you have a plantastic day.
Yeah. Oh, good one. Thank you. You too. Take care.
I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. Thank you for tuning in, and I look forward to having you back again next week. A very special thank you to the band Rocket Surgeons for permission to use the Broccoli song. To find out more about the Rocket Surgeons, please visit their website at rocketsurgeonsband.com or Facebook at Rocket Surgeons Music. Please subscribe so that you never miss an episode. Also, all of my social media links can be found in the podcast description. Send me a message and let me know what you think of today's podcast. Sharing is caring. Please share, rate, and review my podcast, and drop me a line if you have ideas for future episodes. Thank you once again, and have a plantastic day.
We're having broccoli.